The Great Wall, one of the true man-made wonders of the world, was listed as a World Heritage Site by UNESCO in 1987. Like a gigantic stone dragon, it winds up and down across deserts, grasslands, mountains, and plateaus, stretching approximately 13,000 miles from east to the west of China. The wall was built to protect the Chinese states and empires against the raids and invasions of various nomadic groups like the Mongolians. The Great Wall. Here at the south side of Tiananmen Square is the famous portrait of the great dead dictator Mao Zedong.
The emperors of China of the Ming and the Qing dynasties ruled here from 1407 to 1912. This is the most extensive palace complex in the world. There are dozens of halls, galleries, entryways, stairways, bridges, a river flowing through it even. It's incredible to see this, the most amazing complex of palaces in the world. All the emperors of the Ming and the Qing dynasties were crowned here in the hall behind me, the Hall of Harmony. Now, when the emperor appeared at the front of the hall, all of the government officials had to bow down on their knees and pay deference and honor to the emperor. When you walk around Beijing, you see these restaurants or cafes, and it says donkey burgers. And I want to tell you, they're not kidding about that. They serve real donkey meat burgers here. It's a specialty, and I'm sure you would love it. I'm going to try one right now. Not really. This temple behind me is one of the most important symbols of China, the Temple of Heaven in Beijing. Once each year, the emperor would make the journey from the Forbidden City to the Temple of Heaven to make prayers to the sky, to the heavens for good weather in hopes of a bountiful harvest.
The Great Silk Road, the timeless Silk Road. It draws the imagination like few other roads in the world. The Silk Road had several branches, and they went from China through other countries, which were also rich in culture and archaeology. When you crave history, stunning architecture, arts, handicrafts, natural beauty, diversity of landscapes, and friendly people, the Silk Road will satisfy all of that. If you like to savor delicious food and yearn to shoot spectacular geography and great people photos, then again, the Silk Road calls for you.
So here in western China is this ancient site that used to be a city of about 7,000 people. It was at a time where Buddhism reigned through this area. There are many, many kingdoms through this valley. And this one was situated here at the confluence of two rivers, and thus was a major agricultural center.
When you travel the Silk Road, you often have to use your imagination when you come upon ruins such as this. The talons on this eagle are larger than I expected, and the eagle has a tendency to salivate heavily.
Yeah, look at that. This is quite an experience. Ah, look at that. What a beautiful bird. Like Kurdistan.
Almost certainly, ancient Silk Road traders came down this mountain gorge, coming out of the Tian Shan Mountains to continue their trading in the area where we just were, in Bishkek. I'm here now in the oldest part of Tashkent. A lot of the mosques and madrasas were built around the 1400s to about the 1600s. So behind me you see some of the very typical, beautiful glazed dome architecture of this part of the world. We're deep in the Silk Road area in Uzbekistan, in the city of Tashkent. This was medieval Samarkand's commercial center. This is the Registan, probably the best assembly of buildings in Central Asia. It's a subject of many, many posters and photos that you see when you travel throughout this region. Behind me are several mosques, universities, madrasas, which are Islamic schools. And here is the Sher Door, called the Lion Madrasa, finished in 1636. The figures, however, look like tigers, so there's some debate about this lion madrasa, the name of it. But you'll see the lions here, as well as gazelles, which is also symbolic of good luck and good fortune. And inside, there is floor-to-ceiling, wall-to-wall, ornate blue and white tile work that really knocks the eyes out of your sockets. It's just a little too overwhelming, really, to see how they did not want to leave even 1 foot or even 1 inch uncovered. Some form of the palace or fortress has been here for almost 2,200 years. What you see behind me, though, is only a few hundred years old, but this place has been so important along the Silk Road path that this has always been a site that has been built upon over the centuries. I'm here in Bukhara at the Bolu House, which is the mosque of the royalty. The emirs from about 300 years ago would use this on Friday for their prayers. I'm in Bukhara, and behind me is another one of the great mosques of this city. In fact, this is one of the best mosques of all of Central Asia. It's this kind of place that makes travel to the Silk Road so worthwhile.